back, everyone, to the Beyond the Score podcast. I am your co-host, Matthew Supinger. We got quite an episode for you. You know, we got obviously NKU sports like we do all the time, college football, getting close to the, we're probably a little over mid-season now, starting to talk even more seriously about the Heisman, about the college football playoffs, expanded, so it's going to be even more now. NFL, big week in the NFL. Bengals are back, dare I say, knock on wood. NBA, that's back. We got big news about that. And we're going to talk about the WNBA. Season just wrapped up. What a great finals. I mean, that was the definition of clutch. Like, performing in the clutch was the NBA finals right there. And then, of course, it just got voted back. Everyone's favorite segment of a show, post-game presser. So, yeah. Oh, Colton, how you doing, man? Meant to check in. I haven't seen you in a minute.
Yeah, no, it's been a minute. You know, it feels like forever since we've done the show, so I'm pretty excited. Got Jacob over here.
What's up, Jacob?
And we got some. I'm super excited to talk about the NBA, man. It's been so long since I've been able to talk about it in front of a camera. So
honestly, we got some good topics to talk about too. Some father-son topics and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll get right into. Oh, what am I doing? I forgot. Obviously, we're joined as well with my other co-host, Alex Perez.
What's up?
Sorry,
basketball is back.
It's so
Alex
back.
Perez.
That's right.
Wrong title there. Sorry about that. Lay Alex, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. Basketball's back. There's no better season than right now.
Are you feeling
excited.
the mojo?
Oh, yeah. As you can tell, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Put me in, coach.
Were you sweating before this? Is that why you had to put that on, or is it just that much?
I'm always sweating in preparation for the show,
Okay.
honestly.
All right. Well, hey, it's good to know that you take this seriously and stuff.
Put in the time and work.
That's what's up.
We don't become an award-winning show without that.
That's very real. So yeah, thanks for glad to have you on the show again. How you been? Haven't seen you in a while either.
I've been good. Didn't really get to have a luxurious fall break like some people, but been out here grinding.
Colton.
How you been?
That's good. Same thing. Fall break, I was working hard and stuff. Some people over there, they just do anything but, work. I guess I don't want to say names.
Right.
But some people. Colton, how was your fall break, man?
Didn't unmute my mic. It was great. It's just a fall break. It was too short. I remember the days of just being able to do nothing for two weeks.
Man.
And now it's just 2 days. So
you remember the time frame when we did nothing for like almost a year?
Yeah.
Wild.
That was not fall break though.
That was a time to be alive. That was my prime Fortnite time.
Oh man!
That was back when I was, there was Clicks, there was Ninja, there was Colton.
Yeah.
It was those three. Those were the top of the game, and I'm not talked about as much as the others because I was too good to stream. But yeah.
What do you think about your game made it different than everyone else's?
Just the fact that it's me. Like I just have that hit factor.
That's real.
It is.
I would always just have that there's a purple scar and I already know it. I'm just gonna grab it. It's mine. Like I would just spawn in with the purple scar, and I don't even need the legendary because I'm just that good. Like,
heard that.
Yeah, it was just nuts. And then life went back to normal. I was like, I'm gonna retire. Move on. Maybe I'll come back. No, actually, I won't. That game is trash now. But, yeah. I didn't expect to be talking about my Fortnite days, but here we are.
Yeah. I think calling it trash, that's a little heavy on it. Some people still play.
Do you still play?
I still play some, yeah.
I don't blame you. Like, it's still fine. It's just...
Turn back on his word now.
It's not the OG. It's not the OG.
It's not.
He's just trying not to dunk on you, that's all.
Yeah, I get it. No, I already feel it.
I feel bad. I didn't realize people still played the game. That's my fault.
Yeah. So anyways, getting started with some NKU sports. Talk about some men and women's soccer. Men's unbeaten streak was ended. They lost their last two to IU Indy and Duquesne. Women's soccer, on the other hand, though, absolutely cooking. But before we talk about women's soccer, let's talk a little bit about the men's soccer. They've only scored one goal in those two last games. Was there anything specific that you saw in those games that maybe showed why their offense wasn't as, humming as usual?
Well, I think playing a top 25 team like Duquesne is a little tough. I think they've looked good in those games because they've already played 2 games against ranked opponents, which is a really impressive schedule, honestly. And they They did score in one, but they didn't score in this one. But they've only allowed 1 point, so the defense has been there. But as you said, the offense has been off. Just haven't been aggressive. Haven't got really as many shots on goal as they're used to. So as long as they can get back to where they were, I think they can go right back to the unbeaten streak.
Yeah. They will play next game at home is against Wright State on November 5th. Make sure to be there. I believe that might be the final home game of the season. So got to be there for that one. Women's soccer, big announcement. Lily Yordi, Horizon League Player of the Week. Quick little round of applause for that. All right. The team has won 6 out of their last 7. And the one game that they didn't win, they tied. So they're on a 7-game unbeaten streak. Kind of swapped with the men there. They have beaten Purdue Fort Wayne, IU Indy, Oakland, Detroit. In that span of games, they have scored 9 goals. What have you seen specifically in that game besides, the 9 goals in that 6-game span that has just really shown why they've dominated?
Well, I think the defense is always there, but I think it's the versatility of scoring when you're looking at the goals. Lily Yordi has been great. Obviously, she deserved that Player of the Week honors, but in the first game against Detroit, Natalie Newman scored. Then Erica Cornett scored as well, so 4 goals is huge in a game. And then Lydia Self continues to be consistent along with Lily Yordi, so they've been consistent on both sides. And these 2 wins against Detroit were huge. Detroit was in second place, but now NKU is firmly in second place because of those wins. So it's just a really impressive weekend from them altogether.
Yeah. Their next game, home game, October 30th, day before Halloween versus Wright State. You think that's going to be a spooky game?
It should be.
Yeah, hopefully.
Anybody playing us should be scared.
That was a cold one there. That was a bar.
I try.
Moving on, men's golf. Isaac Moody finished 6th at the Xavier Invitational at +4. Luke Moeller finished tied for 7th. The team finished in 6th overall. Alex, was there anything beyond, what the top 2 finishers did that showed why this team finished so well?
So many finishing in like the top 15. There was 3 finishing in the top 15, 4 finishing in the top 40, and the birdies over the weekend. Luke Moeller had 10 birdies and 54 holes. Don't know much about golf, but I think that's impressive numbers. Justin Gabbard had 8 birdies to help him finish, like I said, near the top 30. So overall, an impressive performance.
Yeah, I think the haters are going to hate to know that our golf team's like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they're on that. So sorry, haters. Don't listen to that one. Women's volleyball now, since it's been a little bit since we last recorded, they split their series against Milwaukee and a 3-2 loss in the first match and then 3-0 win in the second. And then against Robert Morris, they also split the series, 3-1 win in the first match, 3-0 in the second, or 3-0 loss in the second. Alex, what did you kind of see looking deeper into the stats that stuck out why this team, split both of those series?
I think it's more, you can attribute it more to them being a young team. So when they get in those winning situations, sometimes they'll slip up and make mistakes. And then sometimes they will take advantage of things and go on great energy runs. Like in the first game with Robert Morris, they had 9 straight points to close out one of the sets. Didn't hit worse than 304 as a team. And then Joy Banks, always solid. She almost had a 20-20 game, 20 kills, 19 digs. And then Bray with a 400 hitting percentage. And then the second game, Robert Morris got their revenge. It was a 3-0 sweep. Like I was talking about, NKU is a young team, and it shows sometimes. They've lost in extra points many times this season now. And that just goes to show that they're still young. They're still learning how to win in those big moments. But Joy Banks and Tori Houston, the veterans, were solid. They both had double-doubles. So there's stuff to build on, but also stuff you can learn from those learning moments of how to come up clutch in those close games.
Do you think the youth also attributes to that second match against Robert Morris, in which it was a shutout?
For sure, yeah. There's plenty of mistakes. Don't really remember the numbers, but I know they had more errors than Robert Morris. So those are usually just easy mistakes that you can fix, and I'm sure they will the next one.
Mm-hmm. A player I do want to shout out, though, obviously, Bray has been, we talked about it last time, she's been killing it lately. Ali Sefki had 21 blocks in that 4-match stretch, that's big time.
That's decent, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty big time. Moving on to cross country now. The men's finished 26th in the BPC Red Race and 12th in the Jenna Strong CC 8K. Colton O'Hara finished 35th overall in the BPC with a time of 24:24.29. And he even finished ahead of some student athletes from Kentucky, Cincinnati, Iowa, Michigan, and Kansas State. So,
I think we're pretty big time.
pretty big time, some may say. Us.
Yeah.
The women's team finished 31st in the BPC Red Race and 4th in the Jenna Strong CC 8K. Lauren Mann was the first NKU runner to cross in the Jenna Strong. She finished 15th overall with a time of 19:30.9. Alex, was there anything beyond that you wanted to talk about with the cross country team and just their dominance they're having?
On the women's side in the BPC race, Brittany Arnold and Grace Biddle, we continue to hear those names at the top of the list. They continue to be strong for the Norse, finishing first and second for the team, and they do that pretty consistently. And then, as you mentioned, Lauren Mann finished 15th and first for the Norse, as well as Chloe Boa, who finished 19th. So to have more than one athlete in the top 20, especially when you're going against talent like we just mentioned, it's incredible to see.
Yeah.
Especially for a mid-major program.
Oh, yeah. Moving up the ranks for sure. Moving on now to college football. Pretty good week. I'd say this last week was a pretty good week. There was a lot of ranked matchups, a couple of big-time ranked matchups. But what would you guys say was your biggest surprise of the week?
Texas. Apparently that was their welcome to the SEC moment.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it. I was expecting them to win pretty handily. They were down 20-0 to start. Did not see that coming. Texas had more penalty yards than total yards in the first half. Not what you want to do in football. Questionable DPI was overturned thanks to some fans throwing some water bottles on the field. So that was good to know. If the fans contribute, some calls can be overturned. Ewers was eventually pulled for Manning, which I feel like was the right move in that beat down in the first half. So not much changed after that. The offense looked a little better, so I think they'll still stick with Ewers, but Manning may be getting the starting job here pretty soon.
Yeah. Colton, what was your biggest surprise?
It very much, that's the wrong button, pains me to say this, but my biggest surprise was Indiana IU proving that they are legitimate. Beating a tough Nebraska defense 56-7, maybe not as tough as we originally thought. And that is with their starting quarterback, Curtis Rourke, who has looked like an NFL prospect pretty much all year. That he played the first half, and I think I stopped watching after the first half because it was too painful to watch. And apparently he got hurt. So I do believe he is out for this week, which, I mean, it might be it means he will hopefully be healthy, or hopefully not. It's a weird, confusing spot here against Ohio State, but they have to get through Washington if they want to stay undefeated, and I could see it happening. Washington's a very wishy-washy team. I don't know what Trace Jackson Davis's brother is actually the quarterback for IU, so I'm curious to see how he does, because he was this big shot prospect that came in and was supposed to be a starter, I think, his freshman year, if I remember correctly, and hasn't been that. But all in all, biggest surprise by far is that they are actually legit. I was one of the naysayers saying your best wins against Northwestern, or was the other team Minnesota or something like that? Minnesota. So yeah, I'll sit here and as my other team, or my team that I actually love, dies. I don't even consider them a college football program anymore until we get Matt Campbell. That's all I got. Shout out IU, I guess.
As they say, sometimes you got to let a naysayer know.
that is indeed
And,
what they say.
Yeah, on the Norse Benchwarmers podcast, go check them out if you haven't already. My Hail Mary pick was that Nebraska team did not turn out very well. Yeah. Big surprise for me as well. What would you say your biggest surprise was?
My biggest surprise, actually, and I know you're not going to believe me because I don't have it down on tape or anything like that. Didn't record it. I know some people around this area like to record their, everything they say and stuff. I do not.
So it's alleged.
Allegedly. I was thinking the Texas Georgia game. I honestly thought with Georgia's experience and I thought with their coaching they would be better fit in that game than Texas would. Okay. I know you're not gonna believe me. I know it probably sounds like a load of hooey, as some may say, but my biggest surprise was Miami versus Louisville. It was my biggest surprise because I think it goes to show that, and Miami got some calls a little bit, but honestly, it was straight balling.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Ward is a beast.
For
I'm
sure.
not going to take that away from him. U of L's good. You know, they got a solid team.
Mm-hmm.
Got a solid defense. Their offense is much better than it was last year. But like they had Miami on the ropes. If maybe one call didn't, Miami scored I think on a drive, maybe if not on a single play, where there was a holding that was not called against Miami, and they ended up scoring. I know for sure on that drive. And if they don't score on that drive, we don't know how that goes. That's going to be a tie game.
Right.
So I think that was probably my biggest surprise because this is now 3 games this season where Miami has shown they are not legitimate, and maybe they go on some crazy run. Maybe they prove that, but to me, they have not proven that they are legitimate. And I think they will make the college football playoffs. I do not see them winning more than one game in the college football playoffs, if winning one.
That's fair. I definitely remember that holding call. That should have been called.
Yeah.
But I think another thing that we have to mention is since Jeff Brom has been there at Louisville, the coaching record in these big games is not very good at all. So the U of L's continues to be the U of L's.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I was trying to give some a little bit of credit to them, you know.
I can never. I'm sorry.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Throw it up. Hey, there we go. If only we could have gotten that with that, man. That would have been cold.
That could have been a thumbnail right there.
Yeah, that would have gone crazy. Favorite game of the week?
Tennessee beating Alabama 24-17. See, I am a big SEC homer. So when Alabama lost in previous seasons, I was upset because that's our only chance at winning the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can be overjoyed about this. Tennessee led 21-17 with 6 minutes left. Then a Tennessee offsides was missed to force 4th down. But who cares? You know, who's watching? It doesn't matter.
Right, yeah.
Unsportsmanlike on Alabama later, forced a 4th and 22 with under 2 minutes. And then Alabama doesn't punt in that situation with 3 timeouts. That's a choice. They turned it over on downs, and they forced a 3-and-out after that, but then they threw a pick when they were going to try to tie the game. So rough ending for Alabama all around, and that's great to see when it doesn't matter for playoff implications.
Yeah. Would you say that knocks Jalen Milroe out of Heisman contention with his struggles late in the passing game?
The Heisman contention should be 2 people.
Yeah.
So everybody else should be knocked out of it already.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 1 person really. But
yeah.
2 people I can make an argument for. No quarterback should be here.
No. Just want to check with you, though. See if you were...
What's your favorite game?
Good question. My favorite game was BYU versus Oklahoma State. What do you guys know about those matchups, huh? It was a great game. I think it was Friday night. I was watching it. Oklahoma State, I think we've talked about on here, Ollie Gordon is not getting the, attempts, if you want to say, that he probably should be getting as top back in the nation prior to the season starting. He did see a lot more touches in this game. I know he did have like a 50-yard touchdown that he ended up scoring on. But it was kind of surprising because the quarterback that started the game ended up getting hurt, got taken out. The former starter replaces him, goes in and plays a pretty dang good game. Was driving them down the field on, I want to say, I think they ended up scoring and taking the lead 35-31 with maybe 1:19 to go. I think BYU had 1 timeout and, a hot knife through butter, cut down the field, scored an easy touchdown, wins the game for BYU. It was a great game. Colton, your favorite game?
That was a great game. Tennessee-Alabama was a great game as well. My favorite game, though, was kind of a nightcap, at least for me. It was the last game I watched that day. between Iowa State, the undefeated Iowa State, and UCF. That was a thriller. Now, I didn't watch it through and through. UCF went out to a pretty huge lead. I mean, they led at halftime, I believe, 21-7. They had stretched that out in the second half. I had given up on the Texas and Georgia game and had moved on to a movie. Watched the movie, Edge of Tomorrow, if you're curious, and came back and saw that this Iowa State game was still a thing. And I'm like, oh, they're down like a score and a half or something like that. I'll watch. And I watched Rocco Becht, a guy who I hadn't watched any Iowa State yet this season. And I watched him just take over the game. He finished with 20 of 46 passing, 274 yards, 2 interceptions, I believe, both in the first half, or at least early in the second half, because I didn't see it. But 1 touchdown. But then if you scroll down on my computer here a little bit, he also had 20 carries for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns as a quarterback. This dude is going to be Kyler Murray within a year or two. He just absolutely took over the game and ended up making the massive comeback. One of the more fun games I think I've watched all year that I haven't seen talked about too much. It was a blast. It was a blast to see him nobody's open. All right, I'm gonna take it 20 yards down the field. He ran it in. I believe they had a 2-point conversion that he ended up running in. It was just like, it was his world. We were just living in it for that game. And it's funny because I've heard all these stuff. Oh, he's too young. Mostly Garrett saying this. He's too young. He can't. He's not ready yet. He looks ready to me. This team could very well end undefeated, and hopefully that means Matt Campbell will become head coach of the Purdue Boilermakers.
That's a good point. Good pitch there.
You can blame Josh for me thinking.
Let's say no ulterior motives there at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Moving on, we're going to go through a little bit of playoff predictions, if you all would be interested in that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go through some teams and that I have on my list. We're going to see if we're all in agreement with them. Starting off, Oregon. All in agreement?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Georgia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh. Is that a little bit of hesitation there?
There was a little hesitation. I forgot to kind of beat Texas, but
okay.
Yeah.
And Tennessee and Georgia play each other, so it's going to be one of those two.
Yeah.
I just have to pick Georgia.
Penn State.
Georgia. Penn State's
on my list.
It's funny. I wouldn't fully put them in there, but as of right now, yes.
Okay.
You just got to remember who their head coach is.
That is true. Ohio State.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Duh. I mean, come on now. Texas.
They have a game against Indiana coming up.
Obviously.
You said Texas?
Yeah, Texas.
I guess. I don't know. They got Vandy this week. I picked Vandy to win the game. So
that could be a good one.
Vandy in Vandy. So
I believe in Vandy too. That's very well documented.
Nobody would have seen them beating Alabama.
That's fair.
That's all I'm saying.
What's their quarterback's name? I forget.
Diego? No, not Diego.
It's Diego Pavia.
Yeah, there it is. I'm right. I know ball.
How has he
familiar with ball?
How has he not gotten the nickname Vandy Man? So the Candy Man?
That's good.
That'd be cold. That'd be so sick.
We really need to be a marketing team.
That is pretty tough, honestly.
The Vandy Man can.
Be on the score marketing team.
Hey, build it right now. Put up the billboards.
Yeah.
Miami. What are we thinking there?
I got them.
Probably, yeah.
All right. Tennessee.
I do not have Tennessee.
Okay.
Because I think if they lose that Georgia game, they're probably out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Iowa State.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I do have Iowa State.
Indiana.
Hell no.
I also do not have Indiana.
Alabama. No. Okay.
They have 3 losses now?
Yeah.
I don't think they're
3.
Yeah. They
Vandy and Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I think it's just 2.
South Carolina. No, they beat South Carolina.
That was essentially a loss.
It was 2.
That was a pretty bad game.
It's going to be hard to get in with 2, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially. Do they still got Texas? I guess maybe they don't play each other this year.
I don't think so.
I forget that conferences are so big, not everybody plays each other.
Now I'm curious. These are teams that I said I don't think will make it. They're currently in the top 12 in terms of the AP rankings, but I do not think will make it. Clemson.
I do have Clemson.
You do?
Yeah. Okay. I think they have a pretty easy rest of the schedule.
Okay.
Did you say LSU?
I did not, but LSU was in that.
Oh, okay. I do have them.
Okay.
I do have LSU.
Okay.
As far as Clemson goes, I can't remember if it's Clemson or Miami, but one of them have a very circled trap game against Syracuse coming up. And if they win that, then yes. I can't remember if that was Miami or Clemson.
I think it might be Miami because I think Clemson's got
Miami,
Louisville, Pitt,
Louisville could be
and
a
South
trap game.
Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Louisville could absolutely be a trap game.
Is
that at home or at Clemson?
I don't know.
So if it's at Clemson, then Clemson's got it. If it's at Louisville,
Yeah.
they were a freshman not fumbling the ball away from probably beating Miami. So
That's true. That's very true. And then what about Notre Dame?
they got the two
Nope.
got the two military schools coming
They'll
up.
lose to both of them.
They got Navy, they got Army, and those two look scary. And I saw a funny tweet that said, "You mean to tell me the year after we find out that spies are being used or whatever, that the two military academies are ranked? Coincidence? I think not."
Man, hot takes over here beyond the score.
It's not a hot take. They got somebody. They got somebody in there. I know it. Maybe it's me.
I would love
Maybe
to
it's
see.
Jacob. Where's he been the last couple weeks?
That's true.
That's real.
That's true. I would love to see Notre Dame make the college football playoffs just for this plain and simple fact that it would be like 2020 all over again, where they lose by 35
Mm-hmm.
in the first game they play.
Just to get smoked.
Against
yeah.
Boise
Yeah.
State.
I think that'd be so awesome. Oh my gosh, dude, against Boise State.
I don't think it'd
even
work
get
because they'd be
started.
11, but yeah, that
Don't
would
even
be
get me started.
It'd be beautiful.
What other ones did you guys have making it that I did not mention yet?
Boise State, I definitely had
Boise
in.
State.
BYU, I have in. And then Mizzou, I actually have in instead of Tennessee because I think they
okay.
have an easier rest of the schedule than Tennessee does.
That's who Alabama
Okay.
plays that I have a question about. They play them this week,
Mhm.
Mizzou and Alabama.
I definitely think they could beat Alabama with how shaky they've been so far.
That's essentially a game for a college football playoff spot. Alabama loses there, they're out. Missouri loses, they're most certainly out. So,
Mizzou
yeah,
gave.
I don't know. I have bad idea about them since that Texas A&M game that they just got plastered.
That's fair.
Mizzou, they gave. I mean, obviously this was last year. Mizzou gave Georgia some trouble last year. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys remember that game. So
I do.
could be. And I think that Georgia team is probably better than this Alabama team is. So maybe.
Probably, yeah.
So yeah, I think the playoffs are gonna be really fun this year.
Hey, just keep in mind, I think I might have mentioned it on here before. Like we talked about the undefeated military teams. If they went out, I think they obviously have to play each other. They could end up playing each other twice because they could play obviously the Army-Navy game every year, and then they both are atop the AAC right now. So I mean that if you have, I would obviously take Boise State in this situation, but if you have Army and Navy, or you have Army or Navy undefeated after beating a Notre Dame team, but I don't know. It's such a weird conundrum there for that 12th spot. Because I think Boise State's obviously the better team, but how can you fault Navy for winning out, or Army for winning out?
That's true. Yeah, I guess it would just come down to what do you look at more, a team that won out or a team with what Boise State's only got like one loss, don't they?
Yeah, their one loss is to Oregon by
Yeah.
3 points.
3 points, yeah.
It was an insanely close game. So, are you going to really fault them for losing to the best team in the country
Yeah.
at this point in time by 3 points? I don't think that should be the case, but
And
I
the
don't
team
know.
that's also going to make the playoff.
I think at the end of the day, if you have an undefeated Navy team and a Boise State team, this would never happen. But you just put them both in the playoff. You got 12 spots for a reason. But
Yep.
I'm just a visionary. I'm too much of a college basketball fan, I guess.
Too much of an optimist is what
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about some NBA now. Season starts. Lakers, they had a decent win the other day, didn't they?
They did. They
That's
did
pretty
indeed.
That's all right.
I just want to know who these Lakers are and what have they done with the Lakers that I once knew. Shooting lots of threes, only made 5, but still scored 110 points. I can't wait to see what happens when these threes hopefully start dropping. I'm not going to say will start dropping because team's still a little iffy on the perimeter shooting, but 75 paint points. This offense looks dynamic. The ability to offensive rebound now is huge. I don't know what J.J. Redick has done, but he brought some intensity out of Rui again, which he definitely did not have last season. And Jackson Hayes was unplayable last year, and now he looks like somebody who's going to get 10 offensive rebounds a game, so that's awesome. And then shout out the Lakers for their first opening day win since the Obama administration.
Let's go.
It's been a rough time for the Lakers fans on opening day, so it was fine. It was nice to finally get that monkey off the back, you know?
Yeah. Colton, how was your opening NBA experience?
Oh, you just talking about opening night or just the opening 2 nights or whatever?
Opening 2 nights.
All right. Well, it was funny because last night Pacers had the Pistons. It's the first game of the year, but then my buddies were on the PC, and I was like, oh, I'll play with them a little bit. I shouldn't have to worry. It's the Pistons, right? I glanced at my phone. Not 3 minutes into the game, we're down 12-4. So I'm like, all right, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to pull up the game here. So I was just half paying attention to both. But yeah, it was a little scary there. But other than that, I have loved what I have seen. The opening night, the Celtics and Knicks. Knicks are a team I was super high on. I don't think any team is beating that Celtics team in that situation. They quite literally played a perfect game. I think 29 threes they made. That's nearly 90 points just from beyond the arc. So Jason Tatum, I think we might have awoken the MVP Tatum just from all the hate. Not that I'm not saying I like it or hate it either, but yeah, it's looking rough. But the Knicks all together, they looked fine. It's just they played a better team. So I'm curious to see how they do against the Pacers. Hopefully they'll be playing a better team as well and lose there, but we'll have to wait and see. But I wanted to talk about the Timberwolves because I low-key predicted this. Alex, did I not?
You did.
I did. I don't like Julius Randle on this team. I love Julius Randle as a player. He's a great player. I think he fit well on the Knicks, because at least he had been there for a while. But on the Timberwolves, A, he doesn't look like motivated whatsoever. B, his back down style, like he needs to back somebody down to get points, and that's just not going to work with Rudy Gobert in the paint. You're not going to put Rudy Gobert in the corner because Rudy Gobert, you can't even put him in the 15-foot. He can't shoot. So I don't like Rudy. I don't like Rudy Gobert either. But I don't like Julius Randle on the team. I feel like he just doesn't fit near as well as Cat. Cat can shoot threes. Julius Randle can shoot threes as well, but it's not what I want his primary role to be. And I think Cat was just a much better fit for that team. I understand they had financial issues, and it was just game one. They could just absolutely just win 81 games from here on out and prove me wrong. But I don't know. I didn't like the vibes, and Ant was trying very hard, and it worked for the most part. But are you going to expect that from him? 81 games of having to score 30 points, 35 points a game just to win? That wasn't the case last year. And the defense, I think part of it was just that it maybe didn't expect the Lakers to come with that intensity on the boards, but the defense also looked rough, they were the number one defense in the NBA last year. So, yeah, that was a spiel.
I was kind of surprised because I thought Julius Randle kind of hated New York at this point.
Yeah.
And being there, I thought he wanted a fresh start, but he's got one now. And it looked like he was even more unmotivated, so that was weird to see. But going back to the Boston game for a second, first of all, nobody's beating somebody that makes 29 threes. Yeah. Nobody in the NBA.
Unless you make 30.
Yeah. New York's going to be fine. If Jason Tatum has that hitch out of his shot and they make threes anywhere close to this consistency, 15, 20 a game, they're going to win 65 to 70 games, and it's probably going to be an easy repeat.
We're not bordering 74 territory now, are we?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that, no. But they'll have an easy repeat if they shoot like they did in Game 1, anywhere close to that consistent.
Yeah. I mean, you guys hit pretty much all on the nose there. I was going to say, before you even brought that up, I can't remember the last time I saw Julius Randle motivated.
That's a good point.
I mean, the dude just looks like... It's like, it's professional basketball. I don't really need to play that much, do I?
I mean, starting out your career breaking your leg.
Yeah.
That's kind of tough.
It's kind of a mood killer, you know?
Yeah. But at some point, you got to realize that motivation's got to come back. That fire's got to come back. Or time to hang it up, you know? If you don't love the game, you shouldn't be playing the game.
Right.
Ben Simmons.
True. So, your Warriors.
Yeah.
How are you liking them on opening night?
You know, I don't want to say anything too rash. That's what a lot of NBA fans want to do. You know, after first couple of games, you're like, oh man, you know, we're 2-0, we're 3-0. It's an 82 game season, and hopefully more if you make the playoffs. So I don't want to overreact to anything. With that being said, I think we're going to win 82 games. I think we're going to win the title. No, I'm just kidding. It was a good team. I mean, we started off a little shaky. The defense does not look phenomenal by any means. Especially in that first half, it looked a little rough. But it was kind of nice to see a team that Steph did not have to go out and shoot 30 shots and hopefully go for 30 points in a game and also dish out close to a triple-double just to win a game. Draymond is still Draymond, still got a technical. Can't really expect
first game.
Can't really expect anything different from Draymond Green. That's just what he does, man. But yeah, it was nice to see a team. I really do like the addition of Buddy Hield. I think that he could be a dark horse for Sixth Man of the Year because I think he's filling in that Clay role with more athleticism, more pace than Clay had the last few years. So I think he could be a dark horse for that Sixth Man of the Year if they keep bringing him off the bench. I thought he was great last night. I think the team. This is a team that it's like, I don't want to say it's the same team as 2022, but it's a team where it's not, hey, we got, a top 5 guy at this position and a top 10 guy at this position. It's like you're just able to kind of fill out your roster and have solid enough to where you're able to put a good roster out on the floor. Like when they brought back Gary Payton, I thought that was a great decision. I think he fills in that role in the team extremely well. So I'm really excited to watch another season with him. But yeah, I mean, it was just good to watch him be out there again. I mean, Podge didn't look great last night. Not good at all. Still had a really good plus-minus, but he didn't look good. Jonathan Kuminga didn't play great, which I think is kind of humorous considering how he's winning a huge contract. I think he turned down 30 a year, something like that. He turned down a pretty good amount of money. And Moses Moody, signed his extension. I don't remember exactly what it was for, but I know it was a lot less than 30. And Moses Moody had not a great game, but he had a decent game last night. So yeah, I'm just glad to watch basketball again. It feels good.
It does. The only thing I'm worried about with the Warriors is their defense. I think they could be vulnerable at some spots. A lot of spots, honestly. I think your all's best defender, I don't know if you'd agree, is still Draymond and aging Draymond at that. So if you can bolster that somehow, maybe the defense just gets better from the guys you got. But that would be the only weakness I see on this team right now. Buddy Hield does bring that athleticism, but again, he's not there on the other end, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's the point, too, of the defense, where it's Draymond is probably the best defender we got. I like Kuminga, and I think he could, potentially be a top 20 at least defender in the league if he really went out there and made it a priority. Not that he's not making priority, but he's just got the ability to go out there and be a good defender, but it's like hasn't put it together yet. I think we don't have phenomenal defenders. I don't think that's a secret. I think we have, again, like a collective of if these guys can go out and just guard their own dude good enough, then it's like, well, you could probably do something well. I mean, that's the case with basketball, but it's like we don't have a guy where it's like, well, this guy's top 5 defender in this position besides Draymond.
So Norse Benchwarmers producer, Josh Northcat, said Jonathan Kuminga is the second option on the team. How do you feel about that?
Second option on the team. Is he basing that off a prediction or basing it off last year? Because last year, offensively, he was like second option on the team.
I didn't really dive too much into it. I was just blown away that he said that.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to find reason in that man's takes. But.
Yeah. I don't know if I would say he is. Honestly, Buddy Hield came in and he looks like he's probably a better second option already. He's just not consistent enough. Kuminga can't put together, 3, 4, 5 nights in a row of, shooting efficiently and scoring like 15, 20 points a game. He's going to go, 2 for 7, have 4 points, and the next game go for like 25. So no, I don't think he's second option.
Okay. Just wanted to get the expert's
take.
Though.
Yeah. Yeah, moving on from the NBA to the WNBA.
Well, first, do you want to hit the NFL?
Oh, duh, what am I doing?
I was wondering.
Completely skipped over that. I didn't even, what am I doing? Don't know ball over here.
Somewhere over there, Josh is crying.
Week 7 takeaway. What was your guys' biggest Week 7 takeaway?
Let Russ cook. The Steelers' offense can do no wrong, no matter the quarterback. 37-15 win over the Jets. No second half points allowed. and the second most points scored since 2019. We are so back. 409 total yards. Who do we think we are? This was just a great game to watch. Will it be consistent? Probably not. But I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts.
One game is you went 1-0.
Yeah,
That's what all the pros like to say.
that's right.
Josh, or not Josh. Whoops, Colton.
I don't know what to say after that. My biggest takeaway is that Josh Allen is an MVP candidate, and I talked about this on the North Benchwarmers with Josh, so maybe that's where the confusion was.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I knew you were gonna say Josh Allen, so I was like, Josh.
Yeah. You just already knew what I was saying.
Yep.
We were too much on the same wavelength,
Mm.
but it was a rough game against the Titans to start. They were down 10-7, ended up 34-10. And Josh Allen with Amari Cooper, like he was looking like low key an MVP candidate. Then he had those 2 off games, and now he's kind of coming back. And there was questions about concussions and whatnot, but he doesn't have more interceptions than touchdowns, so that's better than the current MVP favorite. I don't know if he is currently, was going into last week. And actually, I believe, if I remember what Josh said correctly, so blame it on Josh if it's wrong. No interception to this point in the season for Josh Allen. For Josh Allen, the golden retriever, as Garrett calls him.
That can't be right.
It does not feel right. Does not feel right at all. But I mean, this guy, I said it on here. I said it on the Norse Benchwarmers. I feel that if he is able to lead his team to a playoff, even and win this division, of course the division doesn't look too tough right now. Like, I guess the Dolphins are getting Tua back. That's about it.
Yeah.
That being said, as long as this team is successful, I think he absolutely is the MVP, because it's like that year that Mahomes had without Tyreek. Gosh, they have – I just remembered they have DeAndre Hopkins now, and now I'm sad. But give me Josh Allen, MVP right now. Jared Goff also deserves to be in that conversation. He has been near perfect since he had a perfect game against the Seahawks, I think it was. And the Lions are currently atop the NFC. So, or not the NFC. Yeah, that is the NFC because they have the tiebreaker. But yeah, so that's my takeaway, is that we're getting some MVP candidates here, and I'm sure Mahomes with the Hopkins now is just going to go ballistic because that's what he's been waiting on all year. But hopefully not.
And the Bills added Amari Cooper, so that wide receiver room got a little better. A little older, but a little better.
Yeah, I think he had a touchdown in his first game.
He did.
And so
Keon Coleman had to tell him what route to run, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's neither here nor there.
Right.
And Keon Coleman looked good too. He led in receiving yards, 125 and just 4 receptions. So if he could develop into number 2 or number 3 with Khalil Shakir, I think it fits a lot better, because you can put Shakir in the slot and have Coleman and Cooper on the sides. I think that works out pretty well. That's a pretty good receiving core.
Yeah. I do actually remember talking about the Josh Allen MVP stuff on here, and I think, yeah, he looks like it was that 2021-22 season that you were talking about, the Mahomes year, where it was just not a main center point of that offense, and quarterback still went out there and played well. My Week 7 takeaway. I mean, you guys really hit them all on the head. The Chiefs are unfortunately good, and I think it's kind of a bummer to watch. I didn't get to watch their game this past week. I got to watch like tidbits of it and stuff. But to watch a team waltz out there with an aging tight end, their wide receiver 1 goes down, probably won't play the rest of the year. RB1 goes down, also probably won't play the rest of the year, and they're still undefeated. It's a bummer.
An aging tight end who's also not getting any fantasy points. Not that it's bothering anybody on this set or anything, but
yeah,
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it really it's a travesty. I don't like seeing it. Oh, got it. The pun there.
Travesty.
Hey, travesty. I wasn't even trying.
No way.
Let's
I
go.
wasn't even trying.
No way.
There we go. Right off the dome piece. Yeah, I don't really have much of it, like too crazy of a Week 7 takeaway. I was glad to watch the Bengals game. Defense played pretty well. I mean, it was the Browns, but defense played pretty well. shut down Nick Chubb for the most part, besides like one drive. Sean Watson went out. He's going to be out for the year. I was watching that live. Did you watch the playback of it?
Mm-hmm.
Watching a Achilles tear is nasty. But, yeah, Bengals are back, so that's all I'm going to say about that one.
So back. It's not
So
like we
back.
have Saquon or anything this week.
You know what? We're 1-0 this past week, and that's really all I care about.
We sure are, aren't we?
Just
Yeah.
win once a week. That's all you can do.
That's exactly all you can do.
That's the goal.
Favorite game of the week?
For me, it was the back and forth game between Green Bay and Houston. Green Bay kind of terrorized C.J. Stroud. Their pass rush was hitting on all cylinders. They won 24-22. We thought this was going to be a game of quarterbacks, but it was really a game of running backs having 2 touchdowns. And then Josh Jacobs somehow catching his first ever receiving touchdown. That's probably the wildest stat I've heard all season. It was just a really fun game.
Yeah. My favorite game, I would say, was probably Detroit and Minnesota. I think that lived up to the hype that it was getting. 2 teams that I think are legitimate contenders. Lions probably more than the Vikings. But, I mean, 2 teams that are just, they show it's not just one side of the ball for them. They are killing them on both ends. However, this game, defenses were getting shredded. So it didn't really matter how good of a defender you were. Yeah, that was my game of the week, though.
So y'all kind of took both of mine. I had
Our bad.
yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, those are the 2 best games of the week. So I had the Texans-Packers game pulled up, and then Alex picked them. Like, I'll go to the Lions and the Vikings game, and then that was picked. And it's all right though. Those were the 2 best games of the week. So that obviously that should be selected. So I'll just kind of piggyback off of that. The Lions-Vikings game, I was able to catch the end of that while Geno Stone may he get better on the ground. And that was a very thrilling finish. The Vikings were right in the game. I think the Lions actually got out to a pretty good start, and the Vikings reeled them back in from what I saw in the highlights. And I think this Vikings team and this Lions team are 2 Super Bowl contenders at this point. And that still feels like it's going to age poorly because it's the Vikings. But have you heard about the rumors this week with the Rams?
Matthew Stafford
and potentially Cooper Kupp
at the Vikings?
to the Vikings. Yeah.
Wow.
I doubt they'll get both. But if I'm the Vikings, Sam Darnold looks fine,
Yeah.
Sam Darnold looks okay. Like, why mess with what you got? I mean, he's just only going to get better by having – can you imagine Justin Jefferson and Cooper – oh, Justin Jefferson's getting doubled. I guess I'll throw it to Cooper Kupp. Poor guy. But honestly, Matthew Stafford and Justin Jefferson would be an equally as fun pairing to see. But yeah, that's the rich get richer in that point. But just imagine saying this before the season that the Vikings would be 5-1 now.
Yep.
I had them winning 5 games in total, so that aged terribly. But to your point on the Texans, it's weird when Mixon has a good offensive line and is actually used correctly, he gets touchdown. That's such a weird concept. But, yeah, that was definitely a weird game to see C.J. Stroud. I think only had 86 yards, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Josh asked me if I should be worried about that. I'm not too worried about it. But you just want to have games like this. It's easy to forget this dude's in his 2nd year. So his team was still in the game and all that. It wasn't a blowout or anything. And Jordan Love, pretty solid 200-yard game from him. 2 or 3 interceptions. He's got to work on that because – I think he still has a shot at MVP as well, I'll say it. He's got to clean up the INTs, but if his team keeps winning games, he keeps on putting up 200, 300-yard performances, getting touchdowns, I don't see any reason why his name shouldn't be in there. So, yeah, that's kind of – those were the 2 best games of the week, so I'll just piggyback back off of that.
Yeah. I think it is kind of interesting. I mean, I know it's a theme with quarterbacks every year, but, like, the whole C.J. Stroud thing, like, watching that offense from last year – and how it was just so much, not completely, but like explosive play after explosive play, like a 50-yard rocket to Tank Dell. And then, next play was going to be, a big run for a score, another 75-yard pass to Nico Collins or like 25-yard pass to him. And then he takes it, the rest of the way to the house. Just watching like each year, it's interesting to see what quarterback gets like figured out. To where it's like, they go from having these games where it's like 6 touchdowns and 400 yards to where it's like, okay, well, now like your longest pass is probably going to be 17 yards this entire game.
Yeah.
And that's going to be cooking.
I would add part of the issue is probably you mentioned Nico Collins being out. With him out, I know that very well because he's on my fantasy team, and that's CJ's favorite target. That's his deep threat as well. So he was honestly on pace to being a top 5 wide receiver if it's not already considered that way with how he had started the year. I think he'll hopefully be back within the next 2 or 3 weeks from what I've seen. That's just copium because he's literally my best wide receiver. But anyways, like I think he's like a huge part of that deep game, and you can't open that up. I mean, Diggs is obviously a deep threat, but at this stage of his career, is he still a deep threat? I need to watch a Texans game before I go too much into him. I haven't watched them since the Sunday Night Football game against the Bears, so obviously they're a far different team than they were then. But from what I've seen, it's just he's missing his best target. Think if Burrow was missing Chase, or even when Burrow is missing Higgins, how that kind of hurts Chase's performance, and I think that's the main thing.
Yeah. All right, moving on now from the NFL to the WNBA. Liberty get their first title in a minute ever. Yeah, so definitely in a minute.
Yeah, they had a lot of tries.
They get their first title in what was a super thrilling series. Did you expect the series to be this good?
No, I mentioned before the series that I would prefer Connecticut had beat Minnesota because I thought that would be a more interesting series. Boy, was I wrong. I feel bad for anybody who didn't watch this series. I'm going to break down the games very quickly. Game 1, probably the most exciting game, maybe Game 5. But anyways, New York starts hot against the Minnesota Lynx. But Minnesota pulls off a tie. Those sneaky Lynx, you know. They come back in the final. The largest comeback in the finals at 18 points. Stewie missed critical free throws in regulation to ice it, and then a layup to send it to a second overtime. So Minnesota with a big win there, and I thought New York was cooked at that point. Like, how do you mentally come back from giving up an 18-point lead in Game 1 on your home court? And that also moved them to 0-6 in Game 1s in the NBA Finals, WNBA Finals. So that's tough to come back from, but they did. Game 2, they tied the series behind Betnijah Laney Hamilton's 20 points and 4 for 6 3-point shooting. Minnesota had 5 bench points, so that's not going to help. And Nafisa Collier was in foul trouble all game, so that's a big reason New York won. Then they go. New York goes up 2-1 in Game 3, thanks to Stewie's 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 blocks. So just an MVP type performance. Really a flip of Game 1 with Minnesota giving up a 15-point lead despite Kayla McBride playing well and Nafisa Collier going for 22. And then Game 4, Minnesota ties it 2-2. Everyone was in double figures that was started in that game for Minnesota. So just an all-around great performance from them. And then Game 5 was spectacular. Minnesota started out hot, up 19-10 after 1. Stewie and Sabrina had 0 at that point. That's not the start that New York wanted. New York hadn't hit a 3 by halftime, but then they came out of halftime and went on a 13-4 run to take the lead. Sabrina put New York up 4 with her first field goal and New York's first 3 of the game with 4 minutes left in the game. So they hadn't hit a 3 until 4 minutes left in the game. Nafisa Collier ties it, and then Stewie misses 2, much like she did in Game 1, but got another chance off not a debatable foul call, because that was definitely a foul, but she might have walked a little bit before she got fouled. I don't know if y'all heard the controversy. There's a little bit. But that forced OT, and then in OT, Minnesota just kind of fell apart. Nafisa Collier fouled out, and New York won 65-62 to claim their first professional basketball title since 1976.
It's a minute.
Niara Sabally doesn't get enough mention in this one. She deserves more. She had 13 when Stewie and Sabrina were struggling, and she had been averaging 3 points to that point, so just an all-around great performance from her. Jonquel Jones wins Finals MVP, which she definitely deserves. She and Niara's willed them to this win in Game 5. Because Stewie and Sabrina did not show up. Yeah. But it was a great series all around.
What would you rate What would you rate the series out of 10?
10 for sure.
Okay.
Also wanted to mention, before I forget to, you all make sure to watch Unrivaled. It is a new 3x3 women's basketball league starting up in January, and it's going to have the top 30 players in the WNBA all kind of playing like round robin 3-on-3 basketball. So don't want to miss that. It'll hold you over until we get back to the new WNBA season next May.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be fun too. NBA should do something like that.
That'd be great.
That'd be fun.
Is that sanctioned by the WNBA?
No, I think Nafisa Collier and Breonna Stewart started their own league just to have obviously pay and more basketball time but in the off season.
Gotcha.
But they have the top 30 players. They've announced everybody. They're still trying to go after Caitlin Clark.
I was going to say, is she on that list?
She hasn't had a break since before her senior
she
year.
needs to chill.
So I think she's going to sit this season out for that, and then probably she is a psychopath, so she'll probably go for the second season. But it is on TNT. Like, this is national broadcast, so everybody will be able to watch it. So they should.
That'll be awesome. All right. What a good season for women's basketball, too.
Love it.
Overall, like the past 2.5 years have just been huge for them.
Historic.
So, yeah, moving on from that, that's awesome. To, is it your favorite segment?
It's definitely my favorite segment.
I would say it's probably my favorite segment. Colton, is it yours?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. Jacob?
Is it your favorite? He shook his head yes.
All right. We're not even going to say the name. Let's just get the
Don't even have to.
Don't even need to. People know.
They know, yeah.
Yeah, who wants to go first?
You want to start yours off?
Okay, I'll
Alex
go first.
Okay.
Alex has no quarters with that. All right.
I've been waiting for this.
Oh, man.
Here we go. Wolves versus Lakers. Gobert, my favorite player, gets the... Oh.
Hey, cut it off. My bad.
Man.
I tried to do something special, and this is what happens. Let me cut the Alex.
Probably because I'm cutting these videos from TikTok. But anyways, that's really on me. It's not on you.
There it is. All right. Let's replay it back here.
Okay.
And there you go.
So my favorite player, Rudy Gobert, gets the ball down low, but he's blocked by the best defensive player every year.
That was personal. You know how much years of...
Oh, yeah. That man was blocked like a troll on Instagram comments.
Look at Ant. He loved every second. That's the most emotion I've seen Ant have in years.
The best defender in the league right there, blocking who is supposed to be the best defender in the league. You love to see it. He cooked him all night, too. I don't know if y'all watched.
What do you have, 36?
Yeah.
What do you have? What do you have? How many boards did he have?
36, 16.
A lot. Damn.
And then Rui Hachimura also dunked on him. But he's a good defender. Don't forget, Rudy Gobert is the best defender in the league.
Yeah, he's the best paint defender in the league, though. Why else would he have 4 defensive player of the years?
Yeah.
All right. We'll keep mine up. We'll see what's going on with this.
Yeah, we'll try it on yours. If it broke, then I guess this idea is not.
I guess we're cooked if that's the case.
Yeah, it's coming.
So mine's a little bit different than what we usually do.
Okay.
Usually, we're basketball, we're a little bit football, some college football, NFL. I just show some love to baseball.
Okay.
It's been great games going on. Especially the Guardians-Yankees series. Phenomenal series. So, John Kenzie Noel, nickname Big Christmas.
Look at that.
Swamped it. Watch this.
That is nasty.
Disgusting.
Wow.
So, the call of this, if you all can go check out this call, that is one of the best calls I've ever heard in a game ever.
I need to. Yeah, that
announcer,
was a hit.
Dude, he drills the ball. Announcer.
Instant replay in a second.
First
there
thing. Oh, man.
That's a rocket.
That backflip
just sends
is
it.
disgusting.
Absolutely disgusting.
So the announcing or the call on it was Big Christmas, and then you hear all the crowd noise, and then he goes, "How about that for a present under your Christmas tree?" And it was, he did it way better than obviously I did. So tune in and go listen to that call. Great series. Guardians came up short though, unfortunately. So Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series. Just who everyone wanted, of course.
Which one are you taking? You taking the present under the Christmas tree, or that ball had a family?
Oh, well, it's tough not to go for that one because that's a home crowd.
It's a little personal.
It's a little personal.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about the scenario, I'm going for that one.
Yeah.
Because that was
The way-
insanity.
yeah, playoff baseball, Reds. No, we don't. Well,
No. Not yet.
Oh,
Terry Francona. Hey.
just hired a Guardians hitting coach.
coach, yeah.
Beautiful hire.
Imagine Ellie doing that. Bottom of the ninth in the World Series. Which also, that reminds me, that was bottom of the ninth. 2 outs. I think it was
That's
2
crazy.
outs. 1 on, and that was to tie the game.
so you all a fan of the Big Money World Series, or
No. I hate it.
fair enough?
This is disgusting. I'd rather watch the 2 worst teams in baseball play a World Series.
Yeah,
Nah.
this is essentially Lakers Celtics World
I
Series.
was about to say, yeah,
Sucks.
this is why I don't watch baseball. But let me tell you why the Lakers and Celtics would be a great NBA Finals.
Yeah.
I mean, I would watch the Lakers Celtics.
Yeah.
I'm not watching this, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did you all, any last messages that you guys had before we start to sign off or something? I do have something, but I just want to check with you all.
LaMelo Ball might be MVP. That's all I have to say for now.
Oh, LaMelo Ball.
We had similar last thoughts because I was going to say welcome back from injury, Lonzo Ball, and Nick Chubb. It's great
Yeah.
to see you all back.
Yeah. Well, okay. I did want to share a little story with you all, if that's
Okay.
all cool.
Of course.
Go ahead.
So, I was down in, I'll finally reveal where I was. I was down in Hilton Head
Oh, okay.
this past week. Hard work down there and stuff being down there. But I just happened to walk past, this big lake. And I kind of heard something out in the water. And I was like, what's that noise? So I walk out on this pier and I stop and I'm listening. I kind of like, the wind's blowing. It's pretty quiet for the most part besides the ocean sounds. And I start to hear like this little talking. And I look out, and out on this rock was 2 turtles.
Okay.
And it was a baby turtle and his dad. And they were both sitting on this rock talking to each other. And the baby turtle is just, admiring this beautiful ocean, and as his dad is, but his baby turtle wants to go out there and swim in the water. And the dad turtle, looks at him and says, while life may be shell, I'll play on words there. He's a funny guy. While life may be shell, we need to admire the little moments like this so that we understand the amazing life that we do live. And that one really touched me.
Wow.
And that's all I
Rodney Stuckey.
And that will do it for Beyond the Score this week. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BT_score and YouTube at Beyond the Score 123. Big thanks to NKU Media Services for letting us use the studio. For myself, Alex Perez, Matthew Supinger, and Director Colton Smith,
And Mr. Potato Man.
and Mr. Potato Man. Go check out the North Benchwarmers podcast as well. But we will see you all in the next one. Be smooth.